Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. I'm joined by Jennifer Sinclair of Farmers Insurance. How are you?
I'm super. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you
It's been a little while
too.
since we've had you in studio, but
I know.
I'm excited to talk to you about something a little different this time. We're talking insurance. Which
Normally
is
isn't an exciting topic, but
I think it's important, though.
You know, it's super important.
Yeah.
Super.
I mean, people, we often talk about the fact that it's one of those areas that you shouldn't really, you should think of it as a wise investment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that there's rarely a time when putting money into insurance is not a good idea.
Right. Exactly.
So that's kind of a big part of what we're talking about today, some of the specifics of things that people don't always think about when they probably should. And especially if you have a family, this becomes very important.
Oh, yes, most definitely. When, insurance is something nobody likes to talk about. I don't particularly, nobody likes insurance, but it's a fact of our life. And some things, a lot of people, it's kind of like taxes, it's kind of a nuisance and you just want to get it out of the way and get it over with. And once you're done, you kind of forget about it. But it's one of those things that helps to build and protect our families, our lives, our futures, all that stuff. And if we're not properly protected, potentially all that could really be in jeopardy.
Exactly. I mean, I tend to tell people, if you wonder how important insurance is, imagine a world without it for a moment. Because you're all that risk that you go through. Life's hard. Every day is challenging. You never know what might happen. That risk is all on you.
Right.
Whereas with insurance, we're spreading it amongst all of us, and we're kind of all helping each other out. It's a pretty neat deal.
Pretty much, yeah. You pay, some of us think it's a lot of money, but we all pay into this big pool so that if one of us has something happen, then we can help them get back to where they were before the bad thing happened to them. And when we think about it, everyone's like, oh, it won't happen to me, or, I'll think about it tomorrow. Well, the next time you drive by an accident on the highway, did they think they were going to get in that accident today?
Exactly.
And it's not always something that you caused, or it can be another driver coming at that causes it, or lightning strike, or something that you have no idea is going to happen. And if you're not properly prepared, it could really rock your world and your family.
Well, that's an important part to talk about. Let's talk about the family for a moment. I know oftentimes parents don't think about the importance of putting insurance on their children, because they think, oh, they're young, nothing's likely to happen.
Waste of money.
Yeah, exactly. They're just throwing it away. But the truth of it is, there are some really great policies out there to help us with children. And heaven forbid something should happen to your child. But if something does, you do not want to have to be thinking about money at those moments.
No, that's the last thing you want to think about. And especially, you're going to be barraged with all of this, depending on the circumstances of, the child passing. You could have all these medical bills and the price of funerals these days, and probably having to take some time off of work to get yourself mentally and emotionally ready to face the world again.
Which oftentimes in this country we do not allow enough time for. Right,
especially because we got to get back to work, because we need money, because we need to pay for our bills and all that. And with children it's super important because you don't expect it, and who has 10, 15, 20,000 or more set aside, especially single parents.
Right.
Super important. And insurance on kids is really inexpensive. You can get it for, $20, $30, $40 a month, and it lasts their lifetime. I'm talking the kind that lasts their lifetime, because another really big benefit of getting life insurance on your children is they usually haven't come across some major illness or disease or something that could prevent them from getting life insurance when they're older.
Right.
So if you get, I actually just got one on my 9-year-old son, and for $40 a month, he has $50,000 of life insurance. It's in a variable product as well, so money grows separately that maybe someday he can borrow from for a house or for college or retirement. But if he never touches it, for $40 a month when he's 85, there will be over $2 million.
Wow.
That will be passed on to his children, or he can take, this big chunk of money out and just go, live life, all that. And it's before they get sick, and all that stuff, because, as we get older, things could happen.
Exactly. The thing that we always talk about with our families, I think I know most of you have had this sentiment of, I just want my life or my child's life to be better than my own.
Right.
And that certainly would do that for a child. But more importantly, taking a really nice policy in yourself or your spouse, or as you said, if you're a single parent, becomes extremely important, because otherwise, if something happens to you, that wish of making their life better than yours kind of goes away.
It could totally go away, because families have been rocked by an unexpected death of the main breadwinner, and these families that were comfortable all of a sudden had lost everything they own, and the kids need to move out of their neighborhoods, out of their schools, probably maybe can't go to college when they were planning on it.
Can you imagine that kind of upheaval in your life?
Right.
Yeah, so this becomes
and what you put the burden on the people who are left behind. If you are a single parent, who's going to be taking care of your children? And they're going to be financially responsible for your child, or leaving your spouse and your family who's so distraught over losing you, now has to totally start over, and just it can be very difficult.
Yeah, often we think about some of the things you can do to mitigate the risk for your family when if your kids are by themselves. It's not always a good idea to go and fly the two of you together. That's risky. There's certain things that you just don't want to take a risk on, but you certainly can feel better on those times when you have to. When you have that coverage.
Well, and when you have the insurance, it kind of gives you the peace of mind and just the confidence that you can go out and have fun.
Right.
You don't have that, what if kind of.
And you have all the plans built that say how it's paid out, and
exactly.
It can take care of them so that they can't just waste them all. Because that's not obviously possible,
exactly.
Right? Trust your kids with a lot of money. Right?
Yeah, we don't want a Justin Bieber.
Well, indeed. Well, let's talk about the umbrella policy and what that means.
A lot of people don't really understand an umbrella policy, or think it's for people that own businesses or have a lot of money to protect, but really it's for anybody, especially if you have teenage drivers, because an umbrella policy is an extension of your personal liability. So it's not anything to do with your property, but it's if somebody claims that you've done them wrong and they're going to sue you, your umbrella policy steps in, instead of you having to sell your home and your cars and having to sell off your lifestyle and the things that you have this policy that it's an umbrella. So you have your homeowner's policy or your renter's policy that has personal liability built in. So if your dog bites somebody, that's the part that's going to help cover the expenses for whatever damages they get awarded. Or if you're in a car accident, the personal damages that they go after you for. But if that's exhausted, if it's a really big claim, then the umbrella covers you wherever you are. And, it's amazing the claims out there. The average automobile claim in Utah just a couple years ago was like $700,000. The award that they awarded, that's the average.
That is hard to wrap your head around. So
if you think, oh my God, if I get into a car accident, which you never plan, and it's a bad one because you never know, if you slip on ice, and you're the one who's set at fault, even though you really couldn't help it, and you have $100,000 on your personal liability, but 5 people are hurt and they're all saying it's your fault. Your umbrella can protect you.
Yeah, then you're going to be real glad you have that.
Or if you're out there riding a motorcycle and you slam into someone by accident, or you're out there skiing and by accident, there's a collision, which happens even if you think you're in control or whatever, someone comes out in front of you, an umbrella can really help save your bum.
That's pretty important. Exactly.
And it's really inexpensive. They start at $1 million, and it's $200 a year.
Wow, that's a bargain.
And it's attached to your auto policy, so it comes right out with your auto insurance premium. And then obviously the more assets, or if you own businesses or things like that, you want bigger. But it's not an expensive coverage for really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of like renter's insurance that people don't think about.
Yeah, this is one of those ones you probably aren't going to tap into, but boy, you're going to be happy if you have it when something bad happens.
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
That's important. Well, we have just another moment or two left, so I wanted to ask a couple of things. One thing I've always tried to plan is that each year, right around tax time, in fact, right about the time I get my taxes back, that's when I look to sit down with my insurance agent to go over things, because if I need to add to my policy, it's a good time to do it, right?
Most definitely. I actually sent out on my website and on my Facebook that tax time equals a great time to review your insurance and your financial plans, because you're already getting all those statements out, digging them all out from the dredges of your filing cabinet anyway. So while they're out, just contact me or your insurance agent and review it, because there's so many people out there that buy their homes and then never think about it for 10 years. But it's like, your home's not valued at the same thing it was, and you do stuff to it.
Yes.
So,
and sometimes you're paying more than you need to. That's another thing that happens often.
Yes, that is definitely, and that's part of what I try and do, is make sure you're appropriately covered.
Right.
Because if you're over covered and it's inappropriate, the insurance company is not just going to pay it.
Exactly.
They're just going to say, oh, well, that's great that you covered your $500,000 house for $1 million, but it's still only exactly, and you've been wasting your money. So that's part of what I do, is I partner with my clients to find out what's important to them, what their hopes and dreams are, and build appropriate, cohesive, comprehensive plans. And so they come to. It's also good to try and have everything with one insurance agent if you can.
Absolutely.
Because if you're
discounts for one thing.
Well, for sure. But also, when something happens, you don't have to think, oh, who do I have that one with, and who do I have that one with? Or your house burns down and your car's in the house, in the garage. Those are two different claims.
Yeah.
So if you have to, it's just a lot easier, and the person knows you.
And your spouse, if they're left behind, doesn't have to figure all that out.
Right. They just call and say, this is what happened, help me. And, I jump in there and help take care of them.
Well, as always, we certainly appreciate you being here to tell us
about
some of the things we can do. You're available by phone. That's probably the best way to reach you. You come right to people.
Yes.
You make house calls.
I do. I work 7 days a week, so I'm available days, evenings, weekends. My cell phone is the best, and it's 435-659-1125. I also have email, website, Facebook, all that kind of stuff, however you like to communicate. I have all those kind of things, and I'm local right here in Park City, but I can take care of anybody in Utah.
And there's your phone number up on the screen right there.
Oh, super.
So we're all set.
Thank you.
Jennifer, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, make sure you get your coverage reviewed. Make sure you've got enough, and take care of those who you love and who take care of you. We'll be back with more right here on the Mountain Morning Show. We've got a lot coming up after this.